Hello everybody. So today we're going to move on to the first step in configuring your country, and this video follows on from the videos where we have forked the country config repository, and we have learned how to start and stop OpenCRVS locally. So you can get the default fake country, which is called Farajaland, which is a fake sub-Saharan African country running locally in your system. So currently you have reference data from this fake country saved into your local databases. That happened during a process called seeding, which happened as you ran the setup script. So what we need to do is start to create the source files to reseed your database, to clear it out and instead input into the database reference data for your country. So what we need to do is prepare some source files for this. So those are comma separated values, CSV files, which you can create in Excel or Google Sheets or something like that. And the first one is going to be all of the administrative address hierarchy for your country. So that will be information for the states and districts, for example, or provinces and regions, municipalities, villages, things like that. So what are the standardized levels in your country all needs to be configured. So why? Well, when you look at the forms in OpenCRVS, you can see, for example, here is the child's form, and we're going to be entering in the place of birth, and you can see that we have some standard levels for this country represented as selects. So the user can select the province, and the district select will react to only show districts available in this selected province. So we have a standard approach to show the user what to select and make sure that the user doesn't make a mistake, because if these were input fields that the user could type into, they may make a spelling mistake, and then the system would not be able to understand the administrative level, and we couldn't then generate accurate business intelligence metrics or interoperate with other government systems in an accurate way, because the hierarchy would be messed up. So we want to make sure that some of these levels are standardized. Now below that, you can do whatever you want. You can have as many different input fields as you like. You can even have things like radio buttons to choose a completely unstandardized address if you want to in certain rural locations. You can do whatever you like here, but you must have at least one standard level. So from the smallest countries where we've worked, this could simply just be village. For some very small countries where we've worked, and for other large countries where we've worked, you can have up to four sub-levels which are standardized, and after that you can use these inputs. If you want to have more than four, say 5 or 6, in some rare occasions there are very big countries where that might be required, then open a pull request. We can show you how to do that. We can work with you. It's not too difficult, and we can add some more levels. But we have found that 4 is generally enough, and you must also recognize that your civil registration offices will be located in one of these standardized levels. So that's the kind of lowest limit. Think about where your civil registration offices are, what level they're at. Are they at a district level? Are they at a municipality level? Have you got 4 levels or less? That's fine. So anyway, how do you get this information? Well, you can get this information from your statistics department or some other government department that looks after administrative boundaries. Now, to make life easy, we have aligned the standard to the HumData Data Exchange standard. So humdata.org, you can find up-to-date administrative boundary Excel sheets for every single country in the world. For this example, I'm going to use the country of Ethiopia, just chosen at random. And you can do a search for that, and you are looking for an Excel sheet. What you want to find is an Excel sheet for administrative boundaries, sometimes called tabular data, and download that Excel sheet. When you open it up, it looks like this. You can see there are tabs for every single level available in the country, starting at level 0, which is the country, then level 1, which is the next, the top level. I think in this case it may be province or region or something like that. And then you've got regions or lower level administrative levels going all the way down. Now for this CSV, select the lowest level. So in this example, I've got 3 levels, so I'm selecting the lowest level tab, because the lowest level tab actually contains information for all the levels going up. So you can see the top level is Ethiopia, and then we have Tigray, and then the other remaining 2 levels going down in the same tab. So we only need to use this tab, and you're going to be copying that into a template. So if you were reading the documentation, section 2 gathered requirements, you'd have seen a link to a zip where you can download all of the templates that you need. So this is the first template, administrative structure. And when you open the template up, you've got 2 tabs. The first tab is a guide, and it just shows you how to enter in the data here. So you can see the headings are exactly the same as we have in Hum Data standard. The name is generally pasted in English or in a single language. So you can have multilingual everything in OpenCRVS, but the administrative structure is always represented in one language. It is possible to have multiple character sets if your country needs that, thinking about countries where multiple character sets are required, such as maybe in East Asia. It's possible to do it. Reach out to us, we can show you how to do that. But in most cases, you only need one language to represent location names. So you can see that we start with the country code, P code, admin 0, exactly the same as it is represented here. So for Ethiopia, that would be ET, and then the name would be Ethiopia, and we work our way down. So in the template tab, you can see I've actually already finished pasting in this data for Ethiopia. You can see I have just copied it in directly from the Hum Data file, like so. So depending on your source file, you need to be careful. You want to make sure there's no commas in any of the fields, because we're exporting a comma separated value file. If there's a comma in this field, the parser can interpret that as another cell. So make sure that you've cleaned any commas, find and replace them with some other character, so that you don't get that happening. And also check that at the bottom there's no extra rows, because the parser will try to parse each row, and if there's an empty row, it will try to parse that and throw an error. So you don't want any empty rows in your file. So when you've finished, you can just download the CSV. I'm using Google Sheets for this, but you can export this from Microsoft Office, comma separated value file, and you want to place that in your country config repo in the following location. So you have a source folder, and then a data seeding folder, a locations folder, and a source folder. And then you'll see a file, locations.csv, and it will be named. You'll see Farajaland, our fake country data in here, our fake kind of locations. So you just want to replace that file with your file. So here you can see I've replaced it with the Ethiopian locations. So the next thing we want to do is create a source file for the statistics for your administrative structure. So these are the population statistics for each level. And that's required because if you look at the performance data, you can see if I search for one of those levels, you can see completeness rates. So completeness rates is a metric which is the key performance indicator for a successful civil registration system. It tells you for every 1,000 people how many registrations were expected this month. So you can see nice graphs about that data. You can see what the expectation was, what the actual was, and then you can understand how well is my registration program working month on month. Now to calculate that, you can see that we need to perform a calculation based on what is the total population of each level and what is the total population of males and females in order to give you gender segregation with that statistic. And we also use a ratio called the crude birth rate, which tells you how many births are expected per 1,000 people. We need to have that for every single level. So you'll see another template called the administrative statistics template, and you can see we've got a P code for the level for all of them. So from the highest to the lowest, we need the P code, the name, and then you will see 4 columns: the male population _year, female population _year, total population, which is just population _year, and the crude birth rate. So you can put in as many years statistics as you want, and you get that from your census statistics department. But you only need 1 year's worth of statistics to get started, because we're not importing any legacy data into the system. We don't really need to see what the legacy statistics were. But of course, if you want to do it in the future, you could always do that then. You don't have to do it when you're getting started. You can do that at some point in the future. So, because you see these populations change over time, and your completion rate will change over time. So that's why historically it's good to expect that in the future you'll want to have more statistics in your configuration. Now, where'd you get that stuff from? Well, I said you can get it from the census department, but you can also sometimes get these statistics from Home Data. So here you can see I've searched for population statistics in Ethiopia. I've found an Excel sheet, I've downloaded it, and it looks like this. And it's a very similar setup. I've got 4 tabs for each level. I'm going to start with the lowest level. You'll need all the levels to paste all the levels in this case. So with administrative structure, you only needed the lowest level tab. With statistics, you're going to need to copy from every single tab from all of the levels into this spreadsheet. So I'm just going to copy in the name and the P code for that level. And I'm also, if you scroll across, you can see I've got the total population, the male population and female population. I've also got lots of other populations, for example, number of individuals total by age. So how many people were aged between 0 and 5 years, or 5 and 10 years, or 10 and 15 years old. We don't care about that. We don't need any of that. All we want is the total, the male and the female population. So what I've done is I've copied over all of that data into my template tab. You can see it's all here. So I've got every single location level and the male population, female population, total population, all in this file. Now take a look, be careful once again, because in my source file you can see there was commas in some of the data. So when I copied that over, it rendered. So I had to do a find and replace. Once again, we want to make sure there's no commas, no special characters, and that there are no empty rows. I've got all of my levels, that's level 3, level 2, level 1, all in there like so. Now the crude birth rate doesn't exist in this file. I mean, I guess you'd get that from the statistics department of the country. So I did a web search and I just went to the World Bank website that told me that the crude birth rate for Ethiopia is about 32 for in general nationally. Of course, this would be slightly different in each area. So normally you'd have slightly different, you have variation, I guess, in these crude birth rates, but I just put in the same crude birth rate for every single row because that's the only source data that I had. So ask your statistics department, you can get the information. Once again, you want to export this or download it as a CSV and put it into exactly the same location, but call this file statistics.csv. So there you go. I am now ready. I have locations and statistics ready for seeding. And that concludes the steps you need to take in section 3.2.2. The next video, I'll be showing you how to set up civil registration offices and health facilities.